My name is John Michael Holdsworth. I'm the 6th generation of the Holdsworth family. Holdsworth was established in 1822 as a business entity, but in fact it was a family business far earlier, stretching back to 1750, we think. The original John Holdsworth started operating in 1750, but he was quite industrious because he was also making yarns. So they then moved into manufacturing. So this became the first part of industrialization. And what we did, or my father did, we completely re-equipped the spinning mill with Prince Smith and Stell's machinery. So it was a mill which prepared the yarns for our weaving side, but also was making yarns for sale. We started, I believe, in transport around about 1880. We started our business with Transport for London very early because the original tube trains, as such, or the passenger transport through the tubes, was by horse and carriage. And we were already making maquettes and damasks and Venetians for the carriage services. So it was a very easy transposition from a carriage drawn by a horse to something which was drawn by a steam engine and then rapidly to electricity. Around 2007, our company was in severe problems financially, and we needed to keep the company going, and we're trying very hard to find a buyer. And luckily for us, Camira came along and supported us and our employees and our customers. So by selling to the Camira, we were able to pay out to all our creditors 100p in the pound.
Camira have worked for Transport for London from the very beginning. This has been our most successful and long-standing partnership. The relationship with TfL is both collaborative and creative. We work together to create truly iconic designs that are known and loved across the globe. Camira bring concepts into woven reality through the 4-stage maquette process. That includes designing, dyeing, weaving and finishing.
A moquette is a cut, an uncut loop woolen fabric that we use on the Underground, but also on London buses as well. I think part of my role is to create an interior. It's almost like a conductor of an orchestra. I'm not actually looking at one piece in isolation. What I try and do is orchestrate everything to work together aesthetically. Colour injects an identity within trains. I often say that if you took away some of the signage, a lot of people would know what line they're on just by the colourway on the interior of the train.
Camira is able to meet the highest technical standards for TfL by always designing with safety in mind. Camira are technical experts and have a deep understanding of balancing the flame spread and smoke generation of an enclosed train interior.
Transport for London's relationship with Camira has preceded me by decades, so yeah, it's been used on the network for well over 100 years. The reason why we still use moquette, first and foremost, it's a London identity now. And I think that's a very powerful thing. So the reason why we choose it, it's hard wearing, it absorbs sound, it's fire compliant, it's always the next moquette is actually my favourite. It's always exciting to design and create new designs. For the fabric on the Elizabeth line, we commissioned Wallace Sewell to work with us. Halfway through the project, it became apparent that the train would be dedicated to Queen Elizabeth, so it really would be called the Elizabeth line. Then the colourways changed into a royal purple because of the royal dedication. And then it was finding colourways that worked with the purple, which is very, very challenging because purple is quite a difficult colour to work with.
The future looks really bright between TfL and Camira. We're working on a number of different projects in the pipeline, so let's see what the next 200 years brings.
The future of sustainable textiles in transport is really interesting. We're looking at different material types. We're investigating the use of flax, a natural plant-based material, to blend that with wool. We're also looking at recycled materials. And we're looking at lighter weight materials, so taking weight out of our fabric, which saves on the raw material, but then it also translates ultimately into fuel savings or increased range capacity for those electric vehicles.
I think sustainability in public transport is an area where there have to be significant changes, because clean air cities are going to insist on less privately owned vehicles moving throughout their cities. It's the only way that you can achieve it.
I think the future for sustainability in public transport is an interesting question. As a design practice, have a responsibility to do our part in making sure that all of the materials used and the way that we design is fit for purpose. I think that the way that we're going to broach any of these subjects that we're talking about in government at the moment and electrification is if everybody starts to do their bit, because if people do it in isolation, it's not going to work. So we as a whole in the rail sector all have a responsibility to play our part and make sure that we're designing for purpose, for a sustainable future and for the customer.
The perception of an interior, big impact items without doubt are the fabric and the floor system. Those two items together are the big ticket items for first impressions. It has to be welcoming, it has to be flexible, it has to meet the design intent, the design language that we're working with. So we're looking for something where we can create a welcoming environment. It has to be flexible because different seats have different shapes, but we use the fabrics intelligently to draw attention to things like grab handles. Most importantly, it's the most important interface on the train. It's the bit that connects the customer with the vehicle itself.
The advent of electrification is really impacting the interior design of vehicles. We can see a much more modern look and feel coming through. It's automotive inspired. It's right for that connected world that we're living in, and we can even see that coming through in colour. We're seeing a lot more blues and greens, which is a real nod to that electrification of buses and coaches. And finally, a real groundbreaking area that we're looking at is the use of flame retardants in fabrics. So we're trying wherever possible to look at developing more environmental flame retardants, halogen-free flame retardants which are phosphorus-based, and something which is really innovative and exciting is looking at plant-based flame retardants which don't rely on any added chemistry.